What's happening, everybody? On today's show, we recap SEC Media Days, Day 1. What did Greg Sankey have to say about future expansion with the SEC? Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. On today's show, we're going to catch up with three different players from the SEC. We'll catch up with Luke Doty from South Carolina. We'll catch up with Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. And we'll also catch up with Jared Ivey of Ole Miss. So all that coming your way on today's show. We'll also talk a little bit about what Greg Sankey had to say on day one at SEC Media Days. But this episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download Game Time today. Create an account. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, thank you guys for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. All right, let's dive into it. So day one, what did we take away from what Greg Sankey had to say? Well, the big message, he sent a message out to the other conferences that the SEC is the lone conference where the name still means something. Greg Sankey knows how to deliver a strong statement, and he did so on Monday as, of course, they officially welcomed in Texas and Oklahoma officially as new members of the conference, and he took questions about that and perhaps the future landscape of the SEC, and he put to bed any idea of maybe expanding. He said the SEC is 16 today and will be 16 tomorrow, or he said 16 is our tomorrow. So that was pretty definitive, saying, like, we got no plans of expanding this thing any further anytime soon. But he even went further, saying the SEC is the only conference, quote, where the name will still mean something, or still means something. Basically talking about the regional nature of the league. And, hey, the SEC is the only, conference that really, it still is in the southeastern part of the country. I know Texas kind of get into a little bit more central United States, but you already had A&M. Now you're just in Texas, which is in Austin, right up the road from College Station. But the other part of it, too, is, and Greg Sankey said this, he said, we know who we are in the Southeastern Conference. We're the only conference at this level where the name still means something. The southeastern part of the United States, where when we expanded, we actually restored historic rivalries while adding only 100 miles to the longest campus-to-campus trip our student-athletes will experience. Now, I believe that is from Austin, Texas, over to Gainesville, Florida. Could be wrong on that, but that's obviously one of the more lengthy trips you'll make. But the same cannot be said for the current makeup of the other conferences, the other power leagues particularly. In the Big Ten, you got teams that are going to travel from coast to coast. I mean, Oregon's going to have to go play at Rutgers. Washington's going to have to go play at Maryland and vice versa. I mean, you're going to have teams traveling coast to coast there. The ACC, kind of in a similar situation now. They've got teams from the Pacific Coast now in the Atlantic Coast Conference, when you consider Cal, Stanford, and, of course, SMU and Dallas. But it's just going to be really weird. I mean, then now you got the Big 12 and the Big 10, where the names don't mean anything because you got more than 10 teams in the Big 10. You got more than 12 teams in the Big 12. So I like Greg Sankey's statement he made in saying, we're the only conference still, power conference still, where the name still means something. We are still the Southeastern Conference. All of our states still connect to one another. We're not skipping over states. And again, he said a lot of it has to do with regional and rivalries and all this kind of stuff. So a great message there from Greg Sankey. Now, he was asked about future expansion, and he had the quote. He said, we could certainly remain at 16 for a long, long time and be incredibly successful. So a lot of people thinking of what's going to happen if the ACC starts to disseminate, and maybe Florida State and Clemson want to jump ship and come over to the SEC. Greg Sankey basically saying we are in no rush to add any new teams. We are fine with our 16 today, and we're fine with our 16 teams tomorrow. So certainly will be interesting to see the future of the SEC, and, are they going to hold firm and hold strong with what they've got? One more note here. Nick Saban did speak at SEC Media Days, not as a member of the coaching prowess in the SEC, but now as a member of the media And Nick Saban talking, he was asked about Texas and, their expectations coming to the league. And Nick Saban said, what kind of tickles me is all these people asking me how Texas always ran the conference they were in. They're not going to run the SEC. There's a lot of arrogant people in a lot of places in the SEC, so forget about all that. They will be a great team and a great program, and Sark will do a great job, but that's not going to be a problem. So, look, they had their problems with beating Oklahoma as it was in the Big 12. Texas is not going to come in and run roughshod in the SEC, and certainly an interesting message from Nick Saban. But there you have it. That's kind of catch you up on the big doings in day one at SEC Media Days. Without further ado, let's jump into our interviews with Garrett Nussmeier, Luke Doty, and Jared Ivey from Ole Miss, LSU, and South Carolina, respectively. We're along from SEC Media Days, and we'll be catching up with LSU Day here. Catch up with a couple of LSU Tigers, catching up with LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. Welcome in, man, making the trip out here to Media Days. What's this all like?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all for having me. It's an unbelievable experience, just getting to represent LSU and what that means, to me and also to my other teammates that are here. It's a really cool experience, and we're all very thankful.
It's got to be crazy for you. I mean, you've sat, you waited your turn, you've waited your opportunity. Now it's your chance to kind of show what you can do. What's the journey kind of been like these last couple years, particularly watching Jaden do special things, winning a Heisman and all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's been a process, and I've had to put a lot of faith into God and to trust in Him and His plan for me. And then, getting to watch Jaden and learn different things from him. Obviously, if I have, nearly the amount of success that he was able to have last year, I'll be pretty happy, one of the things, for me, obviously our skill set is very different. So getting to learn, how to interact with my teammates off the field from him, or how to lead, watching him in the building and the way that he interacted day to day. I got to learn a lot from Jaden, and, I'm a big fan of his, and I'm excited for him at the next level.
You guys lose a couple of big-time receivers, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. go on to be first-round picks, but it feels like some of those guys that you were maybe running on second team with, Chris Hilton and some other guys, like you were able to develop that chemistry. So it's kind of like while you move up the depth chart, they move up the depth chart. What's that kind of been like? Because, man, the spring game it looked like you guys been playing football for years together.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Getting to experience those different situations with all those guys. Me and Chris Hilton came in together. And there are a couple other guys that I'll be playing with this year that we came in the same class, and, we got to spend a lot of time together. Like you said, from the bottom of the depth chart freshman year, slowly building our ways up to, now starting. And, there's a lot of time there, a lot of time spent there, a lot of relationships that have been built, between me and my teammates, just being around each other at all times as much as possible. And I think that's the biggest part, everything that happens on the field, it all starts with the relationships, that you guys have off the field. So.
You get a lot of people who throw out Will Campbell's name out there, and for good reason. He's a heck of a player. But just how about your offensive line? And, what is it, 4 or 5 starters coming back?
Yeah, they're an unbelievable group. Just what they've able to accomplish this offseason so far as just taking control and taking charge as leaders, it's something special. I don't even know how to describe, their group. They call themselves the Bomb Squad, and they're just, they're nasty. They're on time to everything. They're early to everything. They work harder than anybody, and they push all of us to try and catch them. And I think that's been the best thing is when you have that type of group and that type of leadership up front in the offensive line unit, it does, wonders, more than people know. And Coach Davis does an unbelievable job with them as well, just preparing them to play, preparing them to be ready to lead.
You touched on it a little bit, but the expectations of playing quarterback now at LSU, there were many years it was kind of we'll see. But, you get Joe through there, you get Jaden through there. Now there's an expectation. You got to put up numbers. You got to make things happen at that position.
Yeah, pressure is a privilege, and obviously we've had very successful quarterbacks here lately. And, I understand that there's a responsibility and an expectation, but, I try not to think too much about it. There's an expectation just being the starting quarterback at LSU in general, of a standard that you have to hold yourself to and who you represent. And so, I'm very blessed. I thank God every morning when I wake up that this is the life I get to live right now. And I'm hopefully, I am where I'm supposed to be at. And so I'm very thankful and I'm very excited to get to, go out there and compete.
Sometimes you lose an offense coordinator. It's a little tough. It's a little bit of an adjustment, but at least you guys got the full bowl prep to go through with Joe Sloan and Cortez Hankton. And again, those guys have been there. It's not like you brought in somebody from the outside. So how much does that continuity kind of help? While yes, the label is new OC, it's guys who've been there.
Yeah, Coach Sloan and I, we have a really, really good relationship. And, he's been very honest and very hard on me since the moment that, he got there. And so, just getting to work with him, he set a plan out for me early and what I needed to improve on. And he's done an unbelievable job of holding me to it and helping me, find ways to improve every parts of my game. And so, as he's taken over, it's only, just gotten better. Just being able to have those conversations with him between a coordinator and a quarterback and, also a quarterback coach. But you have that relationship there that's been there for 3 years now. And so, he can always be honest with me. And, I feel like, we're at a point where I can be honest with him and tell him how I feel about certain situations. And he's going to give me honest feedback. And so, if you've been to an LSU practice, you've heard Coach Sloan, rip into me a couple times. So I really enjoy our relationship and I really appreciate it. And I think he's very, very good at what he does, and I think we're going to be very, very successful because of him.
I feel like your dad may have told them, "Hey, rip into him."
Yeah. They have some conversations about how they're going to discipline me. It feels like so. That's how my dad was on me when I was a kid. So I think they bond over that almost.
It's crazy too. I mean, to have a dad who played the position. I mean, it's got to help so much because he does have that playing experience that he can help you with. But also in the same aspect, he's a little bit harder because he knows what it takes and he knows where you got to get.
Right. Yeah. No. It's been unreal. I really, really appreciate the relationship that I have with my dad. He was able to accomplish everything that I dream of accomplishing. So, just getting feedback from him, and he's kind of helped me see the path and see the way at certain times. And if I ever feel lost, just a long conversation with him will fix it, and he'll get me back in the right headspace. I'm extremely grateful for the relationship that I've built with my dad over the years, and how close we are. And, he's very honest with me, and he always helps me, find the truth in every situation. So.
What was that like for you growing up in the household you did where, I mean, obviously your dad knows the position, he played it, but then also, too, you see the coaching side of it as well. And for all the moving around and everything you guys had to do as a kid.
Yeah, I'm extremely blessed of the life that I got to live as a young kid. I moved 12 different times. My dad was a part of, extremely top programs while I was growing up, Alabama, Florida, Michigan, and offensive coordinator at those places. And I was a 12-year-old kid running around these campuses, and running around these practice fields, watching players like Jake Locker and A.J. McCarron, Drew Stanton. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so, I idolized these guys when I was a kid. And I idolized my dad and how he was interacting with them. So, it's always been a dream of mine just to be in the shoes that I'm in now. So I'm extremely blessed, and being able to see it as a kid, it kind of prepared me, I guess you could say, for this moment now.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I talked with Harold about this before you joined us of, normally teams, whenever you're asked about huge games, the response is, oh, well, we got to play so-and-so first. That hasn't been an issue for you guys. I mean, how about just being able to get that immediate strong test right out the gate against SC?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great game. Obviously, they got a good football team. They have a very good football coach, and they're going to come prepared. They're going to come ready to play. And so, for us, I think, the biggest focus this offseason has been about building our culture. And it starts with Coach Kelly's process, and how we interact every single day and the way that we do things. So I think that process will lead us, day by day to be ready, come September. So we're focused on our process right now.
What'd you see out of the defense? Obviously, I think everybody knows it was a little bit not up to the LSU standard for a good bit of last year, but a whole new staff, and Coach Kelly sends a message bringing in all new guys. But I mean, dudes from Blake Baker as the DC to Bo Davis on the D-line, Kevin Peoples, Corey Raymond. I mean, these are all big-time hires. What have you seen, at least just tangible differences so far in that defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an extremely, extremely talented group. And, I think these coaches that Coach was able to bring in are all very, very good. Coach Baker's system is unreal. Challenged me every single day of spring ball. It tests me every single day, even now into the summer. And it's something that's to be honest, it's hard to play against. And you have to always be aware of different things. And then when you look at the talent that we have outside of that, we have guys like Perk, Greg Penn, and the guys that have came in at safety, and Major Burns, and the corners that have continued to develop and work. We've got a great group, a great scheme, a great system. And, I think that, I'm very excited to see what they're going to be able to accomplish, and hopefully, quiet a lot of haters.
You like wearing that red no contact jersey when Perk is hosting tonight,
right? No doubt about that. That red, it feels nice wearing that red when I see Perk. So
Talking with Garrett Nussmeier, LSU quarterback. So as you prepare for the season, what are some things you start to do? I mean, obviously you can only do so much on the practice field. Is it really just kind of taking care of your body, adding muscle when you need to, eating healthy, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into playing quarterback or playing any position really in the SEC. Obviously, you have to keep your body in top tier shape because this is the closest thing you can get to the NFL. I mean, this is the SEC. Guys are big, guys are fast, guys are physical. It's very, very talented players. And so, when you get hit, it hurts. To be real, it hurts.
Yeah.
And when you take constant hits, you got to make sure that you prepare yourself in the offseason and keep your body healthy enough so that you can take those hits over and over again.
When Garrett Nussmeier's not playing football, what are you doing?
I've been working on my golf game a little bit.
Okay.
My golf game this summer has been not nearly as good as it was last summer, but I'm pretty much given up because I can't play basically from September to January. So
Right.
it's a February to August type of thing, and these past couple months have not been great for me.
Short game, long game, what's the strength?
So last year, my long game and my irons were amazing, and I could not putt or could not chip. And this summer, all of a sudden, I can chip from anywhere and I can putt from anywhere, but I can't hit a fairway to save my life. So I don't know what happened, but hopefully we put it together next summer. Hopefully it all comes together. So
Got to figure that part out.
Yeah, I got to put 2 and 2. We'll see.
He is Garrett Nussmeier, LSU quarterback. Thanks so much for taking the time, man.
Yeah,
Really
appreciate
appreciate
y'all for having me. Thank you.
More from SEC Media Days after this. More from SEC Media Days here in just a second, but want to remind you guys this episode is presented to you by friends over at eBay Motors. Look, passion, drive, and patience is the formula for winning championships, and it's what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, whether it's superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, windshield wipers, whatever it is. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, they have got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you're always going to find exactly what you're looking for. And with that eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With the eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it'll be easy to make your car into that MVP and bring home huge victories. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. It's ebaymotors.com. Pleasure now to be catching up with a South Carolina Gamecock. He is Luke Doty, the utility man. Man, just do it all, everything for South Carolina. How you doing, man? You enjoying this?
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
It's awesome to catch up with you. Talk a little bit about your journey, man, as quarterback to pass catcher. I mean, this has been it's been a crazy evolution for you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has been a crazy journey, but I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything at all. Just coming in as a quarterback, I went to wide receiver my freshman year, played a lot there, went back to quarterback at the last 3 games of the season, came back as a quarterback in 21, got hurt, and then, obviously quarterback behind Spencer the next 2 years, and then last year playing a lot of wide receiver. So, I mean, it's just been a wild journey, but thankfully I've been able to stay healthy throughout, the most of it. Aside from the injury in 21, but yeah, it's been wild, man. But the main thing is just, I'm glad to still be here. I love South Carolina, and like I said, I wouldn't change anything for the world.
I've described it as, I mean, they could line you up at receiver, tight end, H-back. I mean, they could kind of move you all around. What was it like going through the spring and, just kind of, getting used to and acclimated to an offense where you could play anywhere?
I think it was just about getting a lot of reps. I'm a guy that learns through doing, learns from seeing it and being able to feel it. So just being able to get a lot of reps, not only at, wide receiver, but special teams as well. It was big for me just because I need those reps, and I need to be able to, feel what it feels like to do the different techniques and stuff like that. So it was really good for me, and I think I got a lot out of it, and I definitely got a lot better.
Just letting teams know, beware at the goal line. There might be a Luke Doty wide receiver pass. That might be in the playbook. I'm just going to assume. Talk about Lenoris. What did you see from him in the spring? Obviously, fans are really excited to see what he could do, dual threat.
He's definitely stepping into the role, his role as a leader on the team. You see him at workouts, practices, walkthroughs. He's leading those things, and he's getting guys in the right place, getting them lined up, and really showing them the ropes of this is how we're going to do things on offense. So follow my lead, and I can't say enough good things about him. He was a guy when he first came in, he put his head down and he worked. Learned the offense at an incredible speed. He's got an encyclopedia for a brain. He's extremely smart. So obviously he's a guy right now and it's still a competition, but he's done a great job so far, and he's going to continue to do a great job.
You guys lose Xavier Leggett, you lose Juice Wells. Who are some other guys outside of yourself that have really kind of stepped up and we're kind of expecting big things out of?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got a couple transfers, Dre Jacobs to name one of them, and then D-Camp. I mean, those guys have done a good job, all summer. They came in June. I think D-Camp got here in earlier July, later June. But those two guys have definitely done a really good job of, just putting their head down and work. They've learned the offense. They're in the meeting rooms. They're taking notes. So, I mean, I think those two guys have definitely been really impressive when it comes to, guys that we've added to the team. And obviously, freshman Mazio Bennett, he's going to be great for us. Just a shifty guy that, we can put in a lot of different places. And, he's great with the ball in his hands. Jared Brown, transfer from Coastal, he's amazing with the ball in his hands as well. A really speedy, whippy guy that, again, we can put in a lot of different places just to get him the ball, and, he's going to make something happen with it. Gage Larverdane from Miami of Ohio, another whippy guy that, quick, shifty, does a lot, on the field, on special teams. So, I mean, the list goes on and on, man. I mean, those guys, the whole wide receiver room right there. Those guys are awesome, and it's been so fun to be around them, and just to get to learn and watch what they do, watch how kind of take notes on what they do, in a route or in a cut, whatever it might be. That's been really cool for me, just a really cool experience to be with them.
We know the offense is at its best when y'all are balanced and you have a good run game. I know Rocket Sanders comes over through the portal. I know he's a little banged up in the spring, but, I mean, you guys have to be able to run the football for this offense to go where you want it to go.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be a great addition to our offense. Oscar Attaway's another one. He's a guy that, really hard downhill runner. Really smart guy in protection. Juju McDowell, we've had him for since 2021, and he just continues to make plays for us. So it's going to be really fun, trying to find ways to get, not only Oscar and Juju the ball, but we're going to have to get the ball in Rocket's hands as well, because obviously you see what he's done at Arkansas and everything that he brings to the table. We're going to have to find ways to get the ball in all those guys' hand.
What have you seen from some of the freshmen early on? Obviously some big impact guys coming in, particularly on that defensive side, but what have you seen from some of those guys so far?
Yeah, I think this freshman class has been definitely one of the best that I've seen so far in my time here. Just a bunch of guys that are hungry. They're on a mission to earn a role on the team, earn a role on the playing field. So, I mean, those guys have done a really great job. Not only in the weight room, but when it comes to doing stuff in the meeting room, in the classroom, those guys have gone above and beyond. And I think that kind of says something about where the program's going. Obviously, we got a lot of older guys that have laid the foundation, and I think the younger guys, that younger freshman, sophomore group, you know, they're going to see that, and they're just going to keep building upon it.
What needs the most work for you? Is it hands or route running?
I definitely think route running,
Okay.
and I think that just comes with time and experience,
Yeah.
and obviously I'm getting a lot of that now. We throw a couple times a week. I do some extra work, you know, in the afternoons here and there. So, I mean, just getting the little minor details of that kind of stuff, I think is going to be the biggest thing for me. And, you know, I can't wait for fall camp to, you know, continue to work on those things and continue to get better.
2 years ago, we see the Duke's Mayo bath with Coach Beamer, you know, get to the bowl game, all that. Last season, a little bit of a step back. You guys missed a bowl game, and I know your expectations are higher than that. What has been Coach Beamer's message this offseason?
I think you said it. I mean, our expectations are definitely higher than that, you know, and it was unfortunate that, you know, we didn't get to where we wanted to be last season, but this year's a new year, and, you know, it's only going to continue to get better, you know, as we go, but it starts with the guys in the locker room, you know, and it starts with that team dynamic, and I think that's what we're building right now, and Coach Beamer's done a great job of really, you know, kind of instilling those values in us. Obviously, the older class has been here for a while, so they kind of know the deal. But, you know, going back to the freshmen and sophomores, they're picking it up as well. And I think that's going to carry over, you know, when we start season and get going. It's really going to pay off.
It's interesting when you look at this team. I mean, particularly, I think the offensive and defensive line is where you guys have really had room for growth to get better. And we saw last year when Spencer had time to throw, man, he was awesome. But sometimes the O-line couldn't hold up. How much do you think having Lenoris with his legs is going to help that? Not to say the offensive line can't get better. I think we will get better. But having that mobility to be able to bail out of the pocket and run when he has to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously having a guy like that, you know, it's going to be beneficial for us. And you got another guy, Robbie Ashford, that can do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So those two guys are definitely going to help us out in that, you know, from that standpoint. But, you know, as far as offensive line goes, man, I can't say enough good things about them. They've worked their asses off this off season. They had a great spring. You know, obviously they're bringing the young guys along. We've got Vershawn Lee, Ja'Kai Moore, a lot of guys that are, you know, coming back for another season. So, I mean, those guys just, they don't say much. They just work. They're out there longer than anybody else on the team, any other position group on the team. And they just will not, they won't settle for what, you know, what happened last year. And it's been really cool to see.
Last thing for you, we're talking with Luke Doty. When Luke Doty's not playing football, what are you doing?
I've recently gotten into golf. I've been playing for about 2 months now.
Okay.
So we're working through some of the beginner stuff. But
what's the strength? Short game, driving?
Mid. I'm pretty. I'd like to say I'm pretty decent with my irons. The drive needs some work. I was pretty consistent around the green the past couple days, past couple times I played. So we'll continue to get better there. But obviously, you know, I'm from the beach, so I love to surf. Anything out on the water. Yeah.
Are you gonna play the NCAA video game? Are you in it?
Yeah, I am. So I gotta see what's going on with the code for it or whatever. But yeah, I plan on playing it for sure.
And it better have your passing attributes better be up there too. All right. I mean, like but seriously, you, Robbie, and Lenoris, like, you get a goal line package. I want to see all three out there with the option to throw. Like,
I think that's a very viable option. We'll have to dial that up at some point.
There you have it. He is Luke Doty. Luke, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, more from SEC Media Days right after this. Coming to you from SEC Media Days, we'll be catching up with guys from all the different schools. And today, the Ole Miss Rebels, as Jared Ivey sits down with us. And man, you just, the sack total keeps going up and up every year. The production keeps going up and up. And this is the big year now. This is the money year, right?
Absolutely. You know, just kind of focus on getting bigger, stronger, and faster every year.
It's so interesting. I mean, Pete Golding is such a good defensive mind, but the whole defensive staff, all the pieces you guys have added this offseason in the portal, I mean, that defense was so improved last year, but, man, it really feels like the sky's the limit this year for you guys.
Yeah, Coach Golding is he's a wizard. He knows how to put us in the right position. So I think, us just getting to know him more and more and the new guys getting accustomed to his scheme and trusting that he'll put us in position to make plays.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make to this playbook, or was it similar to what you had in years past?
Honestly, it's a lot similar to what I ran at Tech. CP ran a whole different thing, Coach Partridge. So just kind of, it's more about getting familiar with the jargon, with the play calling and things like that. You know, you can only run so much stuff, and it's a copycat league, so we just kind of try to run it the best we can.
Y'all added some dudes on that D-line this offseason. Talk to me a little bit about Walter Nolan, Princely Omonmielen. I mean, you guys have loaded up.
Yeah, I mean, we're super excited about those guys. It's been great to see them work and see how they operate and get to know these guys. So, yeah, man, just super excited. They're studs. So, yeah, be on the lookout for them.
What was the biggest, or what would you attribute to the biggest leap in this defense getting so much better last year? What was it? Was it just the personnel, just getting used to the system? Why did you improve so drastically defensively last year?
I think the system just really fit our personnel. It just fit the guys we already had. And then on top of that, I think it's explained so well by our coaching staff. Like he fully takes out all the confusion. It's got so many layers, but it's so easy to understand. I feel like, I think it's a really overlooked thing in being a defensive coordinator, just how you can communicate these plays and these schemes to your players.
Talk a little bit about the offense. Obviously, bringing Jackson back, Trey Harris, we know how good he was a year ago. A lot of offensive weapons, and I mean, as good as the offense was last year, I mean, it's crazy to think that they could get even better this year.
Yeah, we got a plethora of guys. I mean, MVP of the Peach Bowl, Caden Prescorn coming back. I mean, that guy is unbelievable. We got a stock running back room now. We just got Henry Parrish out the portal back. So, it's just, I mean. I'm excited. I look across the ball, and I'm excited. We're at walkthroughs, and I feel like it's Saturday in a game the way we walk through, So, I love seeing these guys work. I love seeing just great talent. That's why I came to the SEC.
You guys didn't really do the traditional spring game, but you did a bunch of tug-of-war, hot dog eating contests. I mean, it looked like y'all had a blast out there.
It was so cool to meet Joey Chestnut, man. He's just a solid dude, man. And the craziest thing about him, his cheeks from all the eating have got like really thin and loose, man. So when he got up there, I think he downed 10 dogs in like a minute 10 or something, some world record, just craziness.
How many can you do?
Maybe 3. 3? I think it's a lot tougher than they make it. They put a bunch of O-linemen up there, and one of our academic advisors, who's a pretty big guy. I think even our strength coach, who we thought going in was going to be like the guy, he struggled. Like I think it's the bread, man.
It's filling.
Yeah, it's filling.
You need that water. You just got to like push it down.
Well, you know how Joey does it. He does the dog. Dips the bun in the water, fully soaks it, and then and I couldn't stomach that. So
it's pretty disgusting to look at. But let's say you said 3. Let's say you haven't eaten all day, and you wait till with 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We say eat as many hot dogs as you can. Now you don't have to it's not an eating contest,
right.
But how many hot dogs?
So there's no time limit.
Yeah,
I'm starving and I'm eating dogs.
Yeah. I think you get 6.
I could throw back probably 6 or 7. Yeah, okay. I was going to say that. Yeah, I could throw back probably 6 or 7.
All right, we're talking with Jared Ivey. When you're not playing football, what are you doing?
I play golf. I like to fish. Of course, I be on the game. I'm an avid movie watcher.
What's the last
TV show
guy.
The last thing I watched was yesterday. I watched the new episode of House of the Dragon. So I've been
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You
Best
definitely got to tap
season?
in. The episode before was the best episode of the season
for sure. Pick a kid to kill.
Well, that was the initial episode. That was the first episode. Yeah. You gotta stop looking at stuff, bro. You don't want to spoil it for yourself.
I don't want to spoil it.
You gotta just experience it, man, because this is experience. You at the point now where you might as well wait for it all to come out and just binge it.
You got the NCAA video game?
I haven't got my code yet. So.
Okay, but you're ready to play, right?
I'm ready to play, yeah. I'm very excited. I'm in the game, so, yeah, just excited. And, I hope they get me right. I hope they get me right.
It's going to be a lot of fun. He is Jared Ivey, Ole Miss Rebels. Best of luck this season, man.
I appreciate that, man.
All right, more after this.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for our day one from SEC Media Days. Our thanks again to Garrett Nussmeier and Jared Ivey and Luke Doty, respectively, from those three schools speaking at SEC Media Days. On Monday, we'll have more content, more guests throughout the week right here on Locked On SEC. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you're checking out our audio form, whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, whatever it is, and subscribe to Locked On SEC. And thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. Keep checking us out, coming back and checking us out. And, of course, we are covering your team every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Hey, for your second listen, check out Locked On Ole Miss. Stephen Willis doing a great job there covering the Ole Miss Rebels, and he's got a lot of great content up there as well. So check out Locked On Ole Miss with Stephen Willis doing a tremendous job. I'm Chris Gordy from SEC Media Days. We'll continue from Dallas. More tomorrow and all throughout this week right here on Locked On SEC. Have a great day, everybody.